Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is going to be a great episode. We have our sister protocol. No. I'm sorry. Our hot Mexican girlfriend protocol with us today. It is not our sister, right? More chromosomes are bad. We love our hot Mexican girlfriend. This is going to be great, guys. Let's get this introduction out of the way and let's get this party started. And by the way, people who are new, my protocol is a sister fork of THORChain, obviously. So the things that I'm going to say about THORChain, all of it, almost all of it directly ties to my protocol as well. Okay, guys, so THORChain is a decentralized exchange that enables you to swap Bitcoin with thousands of other cryptocurrencies, all layer one native tokens. No bridges or wrapped assets are needed, and it's all within your self-custodial wallet. There is no KYC on THORChain. KYC means kill your customer. Aaluxx can talk to you all about that. Very important. It's permissionless, you guys. Our token is called Rune. My protocol is called Cacao. You do not need to buy or hold Rune in order to place a swap on THORChain. The fees deducted from your swap, though, are used to buy Rune, and this Rune is the yield that goes to liquidity pools and nodes. There are no block rewards on THORChain. 100% of this yield is real, and THORChain is deflationary, where 5% all the rewards are swapped to Rune and burn. We have another token called TCY. This is like a preferred stock where 10% of the protocol's revenue goes to these token holders. If you deposited crypto into savers or took out a loan on THORChain, make sure you claim your TCY tokens so you can start collecting your yield, and then thank Aaluxx for being the hero that made TCY afterwards. And also, guys, anyone can buy this token as well. To swap on THORChain, go to thorchain.org, click the swap button, and then you can connect your wallet and swap. Additionally, we just had a new feature come out, Memoless, which is called cold swaps, which allows you to do a swap without connecting your wallet directly. It's a huge innovation. So please try that out and let us know if you have any issues. So far, it's been going really, really well. And thank you to everyone who's been filling out the bug report. It's not really been bugs. It's just been design considerations, but keep doing that, please. Rajira is building decentralized Binance, air quotes, on THORChain smart contract layer. It's being rolled out as we speak. And speaking of Binance, you guys, if you hold Rune on a centralized exchange, get it off there into self-custody, because these tokens can be used to short sell us and drive our price down. And then once in self-custody, you should look into bonding your Rune. A great interface is runebond.com. We make it so easy. All you have to do is find a node, request a whitelist, and then bond your Rune once approved. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can reach out to this account or Patriot Sounds on X. There's a THORChain community Discord and Telegram you can join to learn all about THORChain and make friends, and my protocol too. To find these links, go to @Thor, THOR, @Thor community account on X. It's all one word. You guys, repost this space. This is a family moment. This is us coming together. We have a lot of history between my protocol and THORChain. I am so excited for this one. This is one of those good feeling spaces where we just talk about what we've been through together and just break it all down. But with that being said, my name is Denny. I'm Patriot Sounds, my other account as well. Been a content creator for THORChain, an educator for about 5 years now. I'm over that, actually. I'm going to go ahead and kick it to Kenton, just in case people who listen to this are new. Kenton, how you doing this morning?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks. Doing well. My name's Kenton Ralph Toes. I run a fund that invests in Rune and runs nodes on the network. So I'm a bond provider, node operator, and I'm also running the THORChain marketing team right now too. So I can maybe talk about that in the website quick before we get to Aaluxx.
Go for it, brother.
So yeah, memoless swaps, guys, we got to start calling cold swaps. We've been talking about, how to sell them, market them and promote them. And, memoless just doesn't, it's fine within, the THORChain developer community to describe it, but it's really meaningless to an outsider. And we need a simple way to convey what they are and their benefits. And so cold swap is just like cold storage or cold wallet. And anyone in DeFi who's wants to use a DEX knows what a cold wallet is and cold storage, right? So, and there's that notion of safety, right? Everyone knows a cold wallet is safer than a hot wallet, and so we piggyback on that reputation. right? So when we call it a cold swap and relate it to a cold wallet, it instantly gives the user that sense of peace and safety and confidence that this is secure, that this is okay. Plus, cold is one syllable. You know, it's easy to say, it's easy to write, and so uh, yeah, when we start, talking about, air quote memless, we should start calling them cold swaps, on the spaces, on Twitter, and everything like that. That's how we're going to refer to them when we get articles out there on the website. So the cold swap is going to be the product we're selling. And as far as the UI on the website, great feedback, everybody. Glad you guys are using it and playing with it. I agree. I think it can be better. We want to just get something out and just start playing with it. And because I was going back and forth with the website devs. I think it should be this, and then they said it should be that, and like, let's just get something going and get more people's eyes, and we're going to iterate it, and come up with what I think is best. So thank you guys for playing with it. This is honestly it's the best help we can get. And if I'm not replying or someone else isn't, it doesn't mean we don't see it. And the more eyes and people we have playing with it, the sooner we get it dialed in. And I know the site has been static for the last several weeks. The devs are working on DEX segregation, which is like going to redo the whole back end of the site. And so, they're a bit hesitant to push too many updates to the site because they're going to have to redo everything when they redo the back end. So once DEX segregation is done and the new backend is done, then any UI fixes should come much quicker. And so last I talked to the guys, they said DEX segregation is pretty much any day now. I got a meeting with them tomorrow morning to get caught up. So we'll see. So I'll have another update for you on Thursday. But yeah, DEX segregation is coming soon, and then after that, the other UI improvements and other features should come much sooner, be rolled out quicker. Marketing front, we just hired a graphic design company to rebuild the website. So clean things up, refresh the brand a bit. Make the homepage and the swap, like THORChain.org and the swap page, make them look the same. Right now they look completely different, right? And then try to turn the website into more of a sales funnel, right? Into trying to get people to play swaps. We have an SEO agency working on, they're doing the research on the, what do you call it? Like the words, the search keywords. So I'm brain farting on the term. But to, look up the phrases and whatnot that people are searching so that they'll find us and come to THORChain. So right now our SEO is like terrible. So it's good and it's bad. It's bad that it's terrible, but it's good. It means we have nowhere to go but up. The positive in that is that our domain ranking is very high. It's in like the 70s, and it's out of 100. And basically, it's a way to rank a website on like how many, like your domain authority and like all the organic backlinks and everything you have. And so THORChain.org, that domain has a really high authority, which means like Google trusts it, that it's a real legitimate site. And because other real legitimate sites have like linked to it and referenced it and all that kind of stuff. And so so this is why we're sticking with THORChain.org. I'm not going to use THORChain.com because it has much less domain authority. And so stick with .org. And this is another reason, like, not to rebrand. And I see all the comments, and like I half agree with everybody. I know everyone's frustrated with THORSwap and THORWallet. We have to distance ourselves, stuff like that. I get it. But yeah, I think for now it's still, we talk about this a lot, you guys, when we in the marketing team. Should we rebrand and what should we do and stuff like that. We want to do. We're interested in doing it, but it's like it's a huge project and it would take several months. And so it's like we just don't have that time. I think it's way more important to clean up the current site with THORChain.org, with the swap interface, get that going, and so we can start promoting that. And then in the background, we can work on doing something much bigger and much better. Um, Plus the THORChain.org, like I was saying, has that high domain authority, which means it should be easier for us to get the organic traffic. If we start with like a totally brand new name, awesomeswap.com, whatever. This is, we have to start the domain authority from zero and build it back up to try and get that organic traffic. And that takes time. That's hard. So, it's gonna be a big decision if we actually change the name. I personally hope we don't have to. We can get out of this and we can get going good. And I think, in my opinion, a lot of reasons why people want to, do some kind of rebrand is just because Bruin is down, and just trying to look for anything we can do, change this and change that. What can we, we got to do something, right, to turn things around. And changing the name, I don't think is going to just miraculously turn the Bruin price around. So I think we got to work with what we have, get things out like soon, quick, like just get stuff done, right? It's kind of like THORChain's. We're all frustrated with how long things take. Like, I think we got to just work with what we have, get it out as soon as we can, start promoting that, working with that, and then if it really isn't working, then fine. We have to honestly consider changing names, rebranding, whatever, and hopefully, and then by then there's more done, right? Like we have much more features. Regira, the app layer should be live. Like THORChain will be technically much different in 2026 than it was a year or two prior. And then a rebrand actually makes sense because, we're not trying to run away from our bad past. We're trying to tell the market that THORChain is totally different now than it was before. We need to convey that. So, so we talk a lot about the rebrand and debate it and what to do. So for now, we don't want to do that. We do the website as quick as we can. Hopefully, get it done in like 2 months. But then the swap interface has much more features. You guys have all done a great job playing with it, testing it out. So then come the new year, when the site is done, the swap interface has all been debugged, all the features are there, then we can really start pushing, paid campaigns to try and get the message out there. We can start doing more public relations, try and get, like real journalists, to talk about THORChain. So everything we're building right now for the rest of this year is try and set us up to give us something to really sell in the new year. Yeah, that's it. I'll stop there. Maybe if you have any questions, Patriot, that I didn't bring
I
up.
think that was a great. I think it was a great episode, man. And just speaking for myself, I know you're working so hard on this, dude, and I just want to say I appreciate you very much. I know it can be kind of a grind. I know you've got your regular 9 to 5 or whatever that you do. So I just want to commend you for your hard work. Keep going, and also commend the listeners here, especially you guys, testing out the interface and helping Kenton and the team better improve the UX experience and identifying bugs and things like that. Please keep doing that. Remember, 0 affiliate fee. Share that link wherever you can. Remember, you are part of the marketing team as well. All of us work together. So please keep doing that. So thank you guys so very much. And I totally agree with the rebrand thing, Kenton. That's something for later on. Let's kick some ass first, if we ever going to do it at all, right? So yeah, thank you, man. Well, I think we got Aaluxx on the stage now. Aaluxx, my Mexican brother, I love you, buddy. I'm so glad you're with us. How you doing?
All good, feeling better. Thanks for having me on.
Are you sick again?
No, I had a surgery
Oh shit.
like 12 days ago, and it was a painful one. So still recovering, but this is the first kind of work thing I'm doing, and let's keep it going.
Are you okay?
Right.
Was it? Can we ask? Are you okay? Was it serious, or is it
Yeah, yeah.
elective, or?
No, it was selective, and it's not nothing really kind of like life threatening or anything, but just something painful. Yeah, all good though. Thanks for asking.
No, I'm glad you're doing well, and I mean it's what an honor. This is the first thing you're doing after being down and out. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, well, Patriot here asked me to do this, and I couldn't fail, so I'm here.
God bless you.
Hey guys.
Well, man, so you are the topic of the hour. I kind in the introduction, I sort of blended THORChain and my protocol so people understand that we sort of had the same DNA a little bit, but maybe you want to give us a little introduction of yourself because there's people who are not going to know who you are and what's going on with my protocol.
Yeah, well, hi guys, I'm Aaluxx. I'm a co-founder of Maya Protocol, leading the project since its inception. I think like 4 years ago already, or almost 4 years ago. Um, yeah, we've been in mainnet processing swaps for almost 3 years, and yeah, well, Maya Protocol is a friendly fork of THORChain. We have our own little twist on some features and things. Some things we elected to do from THORChain, some things that we didn't. We fair launched, almost 3 years ago. All our cacao, which is our equivalent to Rune, was given out for free to people that got involved adding liquidity. And we have a different set of chains at THORChain. Um, and yeah, we've always been about expanding THORChain's reach by bringing THORChain technology to more and more chains. And this goes for THORChain technology and also soon Vujira technology. So looking forward to that as well. Working very hard on that front. And on the integrated chain part, we have Bitcoin, ETH, and THORChain from the beginning. And we've added Kujira, Arbitrum, Dash, Radix, Zcash, soon Cardano and Caspa, and we'll keep going on that front as well. And I was also the proposer of the TCY restructuring for THORChain after the THORFi collapse, and my team and I brought it the to fruition and to THORChain's mainnet as well. Happy to have helped THORChain a bit with my expertise on tokenomics. And that's a little bit of who I am, and happy to be here. These are very interesting times for sure, for permissionlessness, for privacy, for DeFi. So I'm happy to be where we are today during this surge in interest in these kinds of things. So thanks for having me, guys.
Kenton, do you want to take it? I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. So it's Alex, not Alex. Alex.
That doesn't matter.
Either one.
It's a Mayan deity pseudonym. Anybody who knows how to pronounce it correctly is dead. So Aaluxx, Alush. There's many ways you could pronounce it, but it doesn't matter.
Well, I think it's a sign of respect to try and at least try something properly. So, tell it. How do you? Is it Alush? Is that the actual Aztec way of saying
Uh,
it?
I think if we were speaking Spanish, I would say like Aaluxx.
Yeah.
Aaluxx is probably more correct. It's how people in the south of Mexico would call it nowadays. But again, it's a matter of taste. It's just a pseudonym. It's all good.
Okay. Yeah. Aaluxx. Okay, I'm gonna try and remember that. So let's get into it. You guys, you integrated Zcash, and Zcash has been all the rage here the last couple months. And I saw, one, you can kind of maybe walk us through, your integration there, how it went, how it's going. And then I have a follow-up question is that I saw Arthur Hayes post, and I think you replied to it. Arthur Hayes posted, the next big deal is a DEX having shielded Zcash. And I'm curious if that's even possible, and if it is, it's something you're working on. But if you can maybe walk us through your whole Zcash journey on Maya, that'd be interesting.
Sure. So first off, Zcash is very interesting technology. It uses zero knowledge to have provable privacy. This is not something many chains can boast. Without getting more into detail with that, but it when I was doing my own research for chains with privacy, it definitely fit the most criteria that I desired, in the sense that yes, it has mathematical provable privacy, it's selective privacy as well. I think people should have a choice. Uh, Transparency is also sometimes good when you're speaking about institutions adopting a chain, or things like dexes, that we need to be very transparent about our balances, about our transactions. Then transparency is good. But if you prefer to remain private as a person, as an individual, you can do it. So you have like this very good mix of features. Another part is a team. Zcash has had excellent cryptographers, excellent mathematicians, excellent developers, and right now they also have an excellent leader with Josh, the CEO of VCC, who is one of the main developers of Zcash, and also a very intelligent and full field of wisdom founder with Zuko. So a very great leadership. And execution wise, they've also been working on faster zero knowledge proofs, faster chain, faster private payments, faster on ramp, and a very nice mobile app called Sashi as well, for to make shielded transactions very easy to use. So adoption has been growing rapidly, and the writing was on the wall. We made the decision to start working on a Zcash integration last year, and the Zcash had tried to get into THORChain a few years before that, but there was two problems. Number one is the person elected to develop this. Uh, their incentives weren't that good, so they never really delivered. And THORChain wasn't also very hungry for privacy back then. There was like a big clamp on privacy with everything with Samurai Wallet and all of those things. Joel here in the call, as a listener, knows more about that timeline, as he's very much deep into the privacy things. So for me, Zcash is two things simultaneously. It's good for payments and for privacy, uh, and has a fast block time. And these are exactly the things that Maya has always tried to kind of support, things that are actually being used by end users. We don't really care a lot about big market caps or big bells and whistles. Rather, is this chain doing things that people find useful? If yes, we go and do the work. Um, anyway, Zcash Foundation, which has some ZEC to give out for grants, gave a grant to a third party to bring Zcash to Maya. That project got delayed. So at the end of last year, we decided to do it in-house anyway, despite us not having any grant or anything, just because we thought it was too important. And January of this year, we were in Cancun actually with the whole Zcash core team, and yeah, great people all around, reinforced that we really needed to get this done. And yeah, shipped it a few months later, I think April or May. I don't remember quite well, but it was also during the TCY debacle, so that was a couple of busy months for me. But yeah, the integration took a while. It's a difficult one. Zcash is basically more than one chain in one, in the sense that you have kind of the Bitcoin like part, where you have these transparent unspent outputs um, for transactions, and it works very similar to Bitcoin, except that it has different libraries and a little bit less infrastructure than Bitcoin now would. And then it has simultaneously all the shielded pools, which work very differently. And when you're syncing the chain, for example, because Maya and THORChain are decentralized, we have nodes all together run a wallet in that chain. Uh, so all nodes need to have their own copy of the chain. When you're syncing it, it is difficult to sync, because if you go up, 8, 10 years ago, zero knowledge proofs were very heavy, and those live on chain. So your node is literally syncing all of those very heavy zero knowledge proofs. As you get to the present, since zero knowledge proofs have been more efficient, it gets a little bit better. But basically, how it works is on Zcash, you have transparent addresses and shielded addresses, which can be from any given privacy pool. The relevant one being the latest THORChain pool, which has been all the rage. It's a faster one, more efficient, more secure. It will also have support soon for more assets beyond just ZEC. And it's a very interesting tech. So what you can have is you can have a transparent to transparent transaction, a transparent to shielded address transaction, shielded to shielded, and shielded to transparent. And wherever the side, when you're talking about the side of the shielding, whenever you're sending to or from a shielded transaction, you can't really tell anything about that address, like zero. um, you don't know what balance they have. You don't know what you know what unspent outputs they use to pay you. You don't know absolutely anything. You just, if it's, for example, a shielded address to a transparent address, just the transparent address can tell that they receive, I don't know, 13 ZEC, and there's a zero knowledge proof to make sure that there wasn't any overspending. So, yeah, the important thing here is this is really what the vision always was for Bitcoin. Going from the beginning was peer-to-peer cash. But if you go and think about the properties of cash, being transparent is not really one of them. And there's an important reason why that is, and that is for freedom. Freedom requires privacy to work. You couldn't really be free if you couldn't ever really have a private talk with someone, because you can never really coordinate and be truly free, and not only be free today, but make sure you're free tomorrow. In order to do that, you actually need privacy, and privacy has been a fundamental thing of the human experience for millennia. It's only recently that privacy has gotten so hard. So the only way in in this electronic age, digital age, to keep privacy is actually actively trying to search for privacy solutions. Now, Zcash is one of the leaders here. Dash also has some privacy as well. We also integrated them early on because they're also very useful for payments. And we're just very excited to have supported Zcash before it was cool. And simply people are starting to realize that, Bitcoin, you have very great properties, a lot like kind of gold, but gold has been known to be seized because it's not private. Um, and there's a lot of problems with having this chain, which is most chains today, where all the time you're broadcasting all the transaction history you have and all the balance you have. Uh, it's tough. So you wouldn't really want to do that with your bank account. You really don't want to do that with your chain balances either. Yeah, at Maya we believe privacy is normal. Privacy is a bedrock to healthy freedom long term, and since we are also proponents of separating money on state, decentralization, DeFi, all of this, we just thought Zcash was a very natural integration, and it's been performing extremely well. Yesterday probably had like $6 million of volume on Maya roughly. Um, yeah, it's currently our second biggest pool after Bitcoin, also with like $5 or $6 million of pool depth. So very successful pool. Really the front runner right now on what we've been doing, and we're just extremely happy with its performance and to see that people are catching on and that people care, because there's this fear. We have so many good engineers building THORChain, building Maya, building Zcash, building Dash, building these excellent things, and then people don't care and keep using central exchange and keep doxing themselves, and eventually reality comes and bites back. So the sooner people actually catch on, the less of the strength of the of the impact when things fall. So I'm happy people are catching on early to this. I hope it continues. Zcash definitely should be bigger. So yeah, looking forward to that. But that's been a long rant already. So let's make it a conversation here.
No, that was fantastic. Thank you. Maybe I shouldn't have asked my follow-up question too soon, but I'll ask it again. Is the or maybe there is the Zcash pool on Maya? Is it shielded? And if not, is it possible to have a shielded Zcash pool?
Yeah, so a good question. So the address of Maya on Zcash is transparent, and this is desirable because then anybody can audit the balances and transactions of Maya because we're a DEX, so we can see whether nodes misbehaved, what is going on. Everything is open and transparent, which is good. That's a desirable property for a DEX operating in a private environment. Now, as for users, since before last week, we could receive from transparent addresses and send to transparent addresses. But last week, we added a new feature to receive from shielded addresses. So Maya can now receive transactions, shielded transactions, and process them. We cannot yet send to shielded addresses, but that is also we solved it actually just yesterday, how we could do that as well, and we will be solving that. So let me tell you the key challenges for receiving shielded transactions and sending out shielded transactions. The challenge with receiving shielded transactions, of course, you have these new address types, new signatures, new things that you need to verify. But Maya, since it's transparent, it doesn't really need to do a lot of that work. It just needs to kind of receive the funds and be able to read what's going on. And because it's the receptor of the memo, we can decrypt the memo. So that's all fine. But the main problem is if the transaction fails, let's say there's a halt or there's a swap limit that wasn't met or whatever it is, well, there's a problem, which is we don't know which address to refund to because we don't know nothing about the address that sent out the SEC to Maya. So we needed to work also on getting refund addresses in the memo, but now you have a problem. The memo limit is 80 bytes, which is not that much. It's like a big string, but not that big. Um, so we actually had to work to have Maya does have a shielded address, but it only uses it to receive shielded memos that are longer because shielded memos can be up to 500 bytes. So essentially, what you do is if I have shielded ZEC, obviously an interface would abstract this for me. It's actually very simple for the user. But what actually happens is you send the ZEC to the transparent address of Maya, but in the same transaction, you're sending a shielded transaction with 0 coins to the shielded address of Maya. So Maya decrypts that and finds the memo with 500 bytes. And that can have all of what I said, including the refund address. So now if the transaction fails, we know whom to refund. Now, the refund address that the user can cycle using derivation, different public addresses that don't really tie them to their private address. So that's all fine. They can also choose not to put a refund address. That's of course uh, you know dangerous for them, but they have a choice. Now the main problem with sending out to a shielded address, so the opposite, you're shopping Bitcoin and you want to go directly to shielded ZEC, is that uh, again we don't know anything about whom we sent the coins to. So let's say the Bitcoin memo has this private Zcash address that Maya should send the transaction to. Well, at the end of the day, Maya validators could collude uh, and send the coins to themselves instead. But in the transaction, if you go to the block explorer, you see that they're paying the right amount, but you don't know if they really paid it to this address. And that's a problem, of course. You cannot slash. You have no idea whether to trust and take their word for it that Maya validators acted correctly. So now what do you do? So before we were trying to do it with payment disclosures, which is a way to kind of selectively disclose information about one transaction. So when Maya would pay, it would also make the selective disclosure proof, and then you can prove that you paid to the right address. But those are not yet supported in the new THORChain privacy pool. So that was kind of the main stopper. So we were working on other things on Zcash, like receiving from shielded transaction. We didn't pay attention to it yet. But yesterday, that we finally finished with the receiving shielded transactions, we really got to work on this other thing. And essentially, we're going to do something where we encrypt the transaction for sending out the shielded transaction, but with a zero key. Well, all zero key. What's a zero key? Instead of using a real key, I'm just using 000000000 all the time. So people will actually be able to decrypt the transaction sent out from Maya. It doesn't really compromise the user at all. Uh, Receiving the ZEC, the shielded ZEC, as we can only tell that we did pay to the address that was initially given, which the user already gave in the memo on Bitcoin. So not really a problem. And this way, essentially, anybody can always audit that Maya is always paying out who they say they're paying out. So we will actually get started on that work today. Sly, one of our leading devs, started the work this weekend, and hopefully we can ship it soon as well. And that would enable Maya to receive shielded transactions, send shielded transactions, or receive and send transparent transactions. So yeah, we're very excited about that. Of course, that enables us to be integrated by more wallets in the Zcash ecosystem, like Sashi, like Edge, Unstoppable Money, many other privacy-oriented wallets. And yeah, very excited about that. And then on another front, now that Zcash is growing in market cap and interest and volume, there's also hunger for THORChain to integrate. And we wouldn't really be coherent with our values if we opposed it, as we ourselves are a fork of THORChain. So we actually support this. And yesterday we pushed a merge request to THORChain to implement Zcash. Now, something that we talked about, and I think we kind of agree with folks building in THORChain, is we can have that Zcash integration on THORChain be transparent only, to keep it a little bit more low profile, less extreme, and more manageable, and also a little bit less technically heavy. Less surface of attack as well, and keep Maya a little bit more specialized on the shielding, which definitely does heavy changes on Bifrost and Maya in logic that probably THORChain doesn't want to really have the burden of. But yeah, we will actually help get Zcash on THORChain as well, if that's what THORChain wants, and happy to see Zcash doing well.
Yeah, man.
So
Go ahead, Kenton. I'm sorry.
no, if you have something, I have a question, but if you want to jump in.
Go ahead and finish, because we're on this topic, and then I'll ask.
Yeah. So with okay, so the pool is public, but people eventually you'll be able to send and receive Shield. And I'm wondering, or I'm curious, like, or I don't know how to ask this, but like you said, the pool is doing, say, 6 million in volume a day. If I come in with 1 million of Zcash and do a swap to Bitcoin or whatever, and I think I'm doing it privately because I'm doing shielded in, shielded out, but my Bitcoin address is doxed. Like, they could, because that $1 million trade relative to 6, like, it's such a big number that it'll stick out, that even though my address is shielded, I'm still kind of doxing myself because the size stands out, and people would be able to kind of connect the dots and infer that, okay, well, this was really you. Is that correct? Like, is it, in order way to get the true privacy, it has to be enough transactions you kind of hide in the crowd that it's hard to actually connect the two dots, or am I completely wrong?
No, not really. So privacy, the only thing you can tell is if Kenton, you have a Zcash address, it's shielded, you have $1 million, and you send $500,000 to Bitcoin. Okay. The only thing we can tell so far is that a Bitcoin wallet got funded with $500,000 from Maya. Cool. That's all we know. And it came from a shielded Zcash address. We just don't know which. Now, if you then go and send another $300,000 to the same Bitcoin address through Maya, well, that same Bitcoin address will now have $800,000. And the only thing you've revealed so far is that the first 500,000 transaction and the next 300,000 transaction is from the same guy. We don't know who, we have no idea, but we know it's the same guy since they funded the same address. That's pretty much it. That's the only thing you've revealed. Now, when you're coming from transparency, let's say from ETH to ZEC, to shielded ZEC, there we can even tell that. You can send 7 ETH directly to shielded ZEC, and we just know that somebody swapped 7 ETH, and that it ended up in some shielded ZEC address, but we cannot really tell what that address is. We only have kind of like a number that Maya sent it to, but we can't really tell anything else about that address whatsoever. And you can cycle these kind of unified addresses, as they're called, so you can always conserve that privacy. And then if you then send another 3 ETH, let's say, we don't even know that it ended, and you send it to Maya to shield, we don't even really know if it ended up in the same private address on Zcash. If you use the different derived unified address. So yeah, it's heavy cryptography, and it's completely private. And what Maya is just doing is, if you were going to swap to Bitcoin requires transparency anyway. So you were gonna be doxxed, or the slight dogs that we are mentioning was gonna happen anyway, even if Maya was shielded. If the Maya pool was shielded, the end effect would be the same. That's what I mean to say. So the user is not really concerned that the Maya pool is transparent. The only problem with the Maya pool being transparent is that we won't be able to support the different assets in the THORChain pool. So when Zcash starts supporting, I don't know, private USDC or these things, those live in the THORChain pool, and Maya cannot spend them. So that will be the only real caveat for us, that we won't be able to use those. And the reason is the THORChain pool uses Frost signatures. What is Frost? Well, if you can remember, we have ECDSA. That's what most chains use, like Bitcoin, ETH, all of those. Then we have EDDSA. That's what Solana uses, Cardano, Ton, and some others. And then you have Frost, which is kind of another signature primitive. Our TSS code currently does not support Frost signatures. We could, work to get that supported, but that's a big enchilada of work. As you guys know, EDDSA was also very heavy. Frost is probably a little bit more. So we would have to support Frost to be able to spend from shielded addresses. And then what Maya would do is have a shielded pool, but reveal all of its viewing keys so that people could audit its balance anyway. So it would be a shielded pool that has made public all of its viewing keys, so anybody can view its balances and its transactions. So it will still function a little bit like it functions today, and it would be able to spend private USDC, let's say. Now, this is something we're interested in doing the work for, but that would come later. This would also allow to have shielded liquidity, of course, it requires it, which is also nice. People would be able to have shielded liquidity, shielded ZEC with Cacao, and have that in the pool, or shielded USDC with Cacao, have that in the pool. So it's something Maya would also be interested in doing, but it would be down the line.
So do you, I mean, I'm assuming at some point that this is going to be used like a mixer, and you know, and we're going to have, you know, the people who basically, you know, the criminals, the bad guys, you know, using it and attract attention. Are you worried about that? Do you think about that? Is it, you know, it's just, you know, it's just going to happen. Just have to deal with it when it comes.
So a mixer is only as good as its weakest link. And here you're always having in the input or in the output some sort of public and transparent address. So as a mixer, it's a lousy one. But on the other hand, privacy is normal. Do you have windows on your bedroom, Kenton?
I know you. Yes, I do.
And
First of all, I agree with you. You don't have
and
to tell me, but
I
we'll
know,
walk through this.
I
Yes.
know, but
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
purpose of
Yeah. I have
discussion here
Windows.
with the broader
Yeah.
group, you probably use
Yeah.
shades at night and during the day as well. So the
Yeah.
question would be, okay, so what do you have to hide? Well, nothing really. You're a good person, but you have the right to privacy as part of your human experience. Now, just because there are some criminals around doesn't mean we should be able to peek through everybody's windows and that it's now illegal to have shades. Rather, enforcement should go directly to the people doing crime when they're doing crime. They shouldn't go upstream indefinitely to now see everybody's balances and see everybody's windows, then have nobody lock their doors. Because, oh, there's some bad guys around. Guess what, guys? Bad guys are just a very low density of people. Most people are actually good, decent human beings all around the world. I've been all over the globe. And believe me, most people are good. If you're in a restaurant, you don't need government to be at the restaurant. You don't need police to be at the restaurant for people to behave decently in the restaurant. People pay after they eat. People sit. They're not obnoxious. They eat in peace. They converse. They don't harm each other. They don't shoot each other. You don't need to have police in a restaurant for people to behave. Same with the world. The world is actually mostly good. The bad people are actually fewer. Now, importantly, the bad people have access to privacy because they have the money to afford to do things. How do you think, well, how much do you think it costs to buy a Binance account in the black market? It's like $50, $100. These people are being private anyways. What you're doing by persecuting accessible privacy is just going and weakening the good guys and strengthening the bad guys. It's the complete opposite problem. But Zcash acknowledges that there's a problem in the US around privacy. So actually, Zcash invests a lot in being there with policymakers and making them understand that privacy makes their citizens stronger against foreign enemies, against, how do you call it, inland, people in the country that are bad, terrorists, all of that. Having privacy is useful to keep a peaceful nation free. So, they're starting to realize that. That's why Zcash is actually listed in things, despite being so heavy in privacy. They're doing a good job on that front. And I hope, ECC is domiciled in the US, and so far they're okay. So that's of course a canary for me, but it definitely puts on some liability in what we're building. But that's also why we don't run any validators on Maya. We run some validators on THORChain, by the way, but we don't on Maya. Why? Well, we only develop code on Maya, which is free speech, and we will continue to do so until we're compelled not to, but we don't run the network.
Love it. Yeah, and if I can maybe one up you a little bit, not only is privacy normal, but privacy is paramount to being free, to freedom. If you have no privacy, you're not free.
Correct.
And going back to your windows and shade analogy, you don't close your shades so that somebody sees your computer and, break your window to come steal your computer, you close your shades because people see what you're doing. Maybe you like to dance naked in your bed, in your living room, right? That's your choice, right? What you want to do in your house. And if your blinds are open and people can see, it changes your behavior. You act differently and do different things. And like how many people, I wonder, on social media, like on Twitter, would hesitate on pressing the like button because their likes were public and didn't want to see someone, maybe their employer seeing what they're liking. And I think that's part of the reason why like Musk made likes private. So when we don't have privacy, it fundamentally changes your brain and what you do and how you act. So it's paramount to freedom. And but I'm believing it wholeheartedly. I'm just my concern is just most people don't get it, and they don't, and um the real criminals are against privacy because that's how they used to steal from you, right? And so I'm worried that the big criminals in the world um, uh, will come, attack the privacy side. I feel, my concern is privacy is kind of like the last stand for crypto. We've come a long way, and I feel like this is going to be our last battleground to kind of fight the powers that be, to prove that not only privacy is normal, but it's needed. Um, so yeah, yeah, that's my rant. Adding to it.
Well, that was well said, Kenton, and I'm not going to add to it because you perfectly encapsulated it. You guys know how I feel about this issue. I'm a public official myself. I got a little deep into the weeds of the government, and I thought it was bad, but honestly, I had no idea how bad it actually is. The real criminals are the governments themselves, and that's all I'm going to say on the matter. So we must do this. We are going to do this, and hold nothing back, my friends, and feel no shame, for we are literally pushing for the freedom of kids and future generations. We cannot fail. We must not fail. We will not fail. So I'll leave it there. I do have two questions. First, though, I want to ask, because Joel's in the audience, and I did a really great interview with him yesterday. Zcash is not the only thing that's been popping off on my protocol, Aaluxx. Dash is doing really, really well. And I see that Dash was actually so busy on my protocol that you've had some problems, with the volume. So maybe give an update on the progress of Dash and how that's going.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, the pool on Dash on Maya is like $500,000, and that day I think he moved like one or $1.5 million. So it's very crazy and insane volume, and some transactions were almost as big as the pool. So what the problem was is in order for Maya to pay out things on UTXOs, unspent outputs, UTXOs are pretty much like bills. Let's say you have $100 bill, $5 bill, and a $2 bill. Well, you're managing this memory of which bills you currently own. And if you want to pay $137, okay, you go and look for a set of bills that will sum $137 or more, and then use that to pay, and you'll get some change back in the form of a new bill. Now, where dollar bills have discrete amount of bill sizes, on Bitcoin or like Dash, Zcash, you have a more continuous amount of bills. A bill can be 37.8592 BTC, let's say. Of course, it's also not completely continuous. It is discrete, but with up to 8 decimals, because that's the limit. But it's very continuous. It's more continuous. So I'm constantly managing these outputs. And the problem is, as we got so many payouts to do, and some of which were very big, Maya was kind of trying to collect the bills for one transaction, but it didn't have enough bills to be able to pay. It had to consolidate them first into bigger bills. But that started to be a problem with so many transactions, and the code logic just failed. So what that caused is just transactions stopped getting paid out, which is of course a problem. So we got the network to halt trading, and we're shipping some code to fix that and requeuing the transactions that were able to be paid out, and then we will enable trading again. Now Dash is doing well because it's also always been somewhat privacy oriented, a little bit less hardcore than Zcash, but they have CoinJoin, they have some very interesting features around running computation environments, and they're also very cheap gas fees, very fast block time and confirmation. That has actually instant confirmation capability. So it's ideal for payments as well. So Dash has always been near to our heart, as it's used in to buy coffee in some places, which I think is what crypto and blockchain should always strive to be able to do. So anyway, it kind of sucks that for Dash users that it failed during this time. It's for a good reason. It helped us find a bug that wasn't just limited to Dash. We had it the bug is on Bitcoin as well. But in Bitcoin we've never had right now the pool is like $7 million. It's the lowest it's been in a while. We've never had $14 million of volume through the Bitcoin pool with many small transactions, and a transaction being up to $6 million in payout at the same time. So definitely bullish Dash, like I told Joel, but I understand how it can be disappointing to some Dash users. Hope we can fix it fast, and that's behind us, and then we can keep going. We hope to be able to release to unhaul everything by Monday, but might take one more day or two.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, man, I mean, that's it's always a bummer when those things happen, but it's a good problem to have, right? I mean, your Dash has a decentralized platform, no KYC, permissionless to swap. And so, when you got to scale, you got to scale. And this is actually, I'm really glad I asked that question, because it's a great segue to my question I wanted to ask later. And you mentioned Bifrost changes and things like that. So JP Thor said on an interview 3-4 weeks ago, something like that, that Maya Protocol and THORChain are going to be having similar architecture, right? And I want to back up a little bit here, because I think we glossed over something really important. And, Aaluxx, the humble man that he is, mentioned, Prop 6, but I really want to take a second and really flesh this out a little bit. So for those who don't know, THORChain had THORFi, which was a lending saver program. It was a bad design, didn't work. We knew it. It was paused, but it still failed. Okay. And so that caused a lot of problems, right? We had a debt, blah, blah, blah. And then additionally, on top of that problem, we had Bybit suffer the largest hack of all time. And those funds started going through THORChain. And THORChain's ethos is permissionless, decentralized, no KYC, right? So not only were we dealing with this terrible THORFi situation, but then we just had the biggest gut punch possible. And so it's like we were sick from THORFi, and then we had to fight a bear at the same time. It was terrible. It was horrible. But we did it, right? We did it, and we largely did it because of Aaluxx. That day, I'll never forget, Kenton and I, we had the space, we had a lot of speakers up. I think it went on, 3 or 4 hours, Kenton? And then Aaluxx at the very end came in with Prop 6, and then quickly everyone rallied behind its genius design, and we adopted it. And I just really want the record to show that we've always been friends with Maya Protocol. I've talked with Aaluxx many times in the past. I spent a lot of time with him. Whenever I talk to him, it's like you get this instinct, right? People, when they mean what they say and say what they mean, you can feel it. It's something that's human. It's innate. You can't escape it. That's exactly who he is. But then he got to demonstrate what he is, because, him being a decentralized, platform, just like THORChain, it's all too easy to imagine a world where a bad person, you see a potential competitor, we say we're friends, but he proved that we're friends, right? Where maybe you're on the ground and you're bleeding, your wallet's right there. It'd be so much easier to just stab the knife in someone's back, and then you can consume the market share or something nefarious like that. Aaluxx did not do that. And I want everyone to understand just what a great person this guy is. And if you are someone from THORFi who suffered The reason why you have TCY, the reason why you have a redemption arc, we have a redemption arc THORChain, is because of the man on the stage with us right now. So anyway, I don't want to get too mushy. I don't want too gushy, but I want the record to reflect that. So what my main point is, we're going to be, from what I understand, the Bifrost, we're going to be adding, we're going to have similar architecture. And what's so great, Aaluxx, is like when you do something great, like altruistic, where you help another protocol like us, there are so many great second and third tier effects. First off, we absolutely love my protocol and we're loyal to each other now. You can't get more loyal to another protocol or a friend or a family member when they absolutely go out and save you, right? But what's so cool now, which makes me so excited, first off, what's the timeline on controlling, I'm sorry, I'm not controlling, making our Bifrost infrastructure and everything similar that we can share code. But I think it's enormously powerful that once we do that, we can use each other as essentially a really sophisticated stage net for new primitives and design considerations. And it's just a much more effective testing ground, right? So I'm rambling now. I'll kick it to you. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so Maya was forked off from THORChain on version 1.94, so quite a while back already. And since then, Maya has chosen to adopt some things it didn't, like THORFi. It also did some new things itself, like liquidity nodes and the liquidity auction. We charge fees a little bit differently, where instead of having a minimum fee, that if the slip fee is less than, it just charges that. We actually always add the min fee instead. So it's always more than the slip fee. So a few things like that. So the point there is our code is similar already, just not and sufficiently similar that we can still bring things from THORChain or to THORChain, and we can also share some Bifrost code, but it needs a little bit retrofitting. So the more similar we are, the less retrofitting needs to happen. So it's also a little bit safer for both parts and a little bit easier to share the resources. So JP has a dev assigned actually helping us with Maya's hard fork first to have Cosmosm, be able to support Rujira, have IBC, the latest Golang version, stuff like that. And also after that, help homologate Bifrost a little bit more. So it will take a few months, but we're on the way there, going actually pretty fast. It's something, of course, we can do as well, but we're thankful since it just helps us do it faster. We have to ship Cardano, we have to ship so many other things, and it's of course better if we have more hands on deck. So very happy with that, very grateful, and looking forward to a future where we can have a little bit easier time sharing Bifrost code so that new chains can be added little bit more seamlessly between each other. And a world where we also have Rujira operating as a redundancy to Rujira on THORChain, and a more seamless experience with more assets on both
Right.
chains.
Right.
So that would be fun.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, buddy. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned Rujira because I do have a question from your community about that. But before I ask, just roll back up. Yes, this is why I really want my protocol to get Rujira because it is a great redundancy to the overall system, right? In case something happens, my protocol could pick up the slack or vice versa, right? It's very simple. It's like a trinity, or it's like a triangle, right? Very strong geometric shape. And that just adds to the overall DeFi engine that we're building, right? So I'm very excited for that. But for the question from your community is there a possible timeline for app layer stuff, or is this still quite a ways away?
There is a path where we have live on Q1 2026. I think worst case it's like Q2. So we don't like to give very precise timelines because then the exactness of a date is inversely proportional to the amount of security you can actually do. If I committed to a date and I've arbitrarily and I want to fulfill it no matter what, I might sacrifice safety, auditing things properly, reviewing them properly, pipeline. So if we don't have that, it's better. And it's the same we did with TCY. People would say when, and I was saying, it's still a few weeks away. Once we knew it was safe, we had everything. Now we did a date and then just did all of the steps to launch TCY. But it's the same here. We shouldn't rush it. But I do think it's with the current hands on deck, if we can keep our current devs and there's no big surprises, there is a path for Q1 2026.
Very cool. I have a question about the design of two dexes like under Rajira. And so my understanding is that we use IBC, right, between the protocols. And this is something that I just don't quite understand. So let me just say it and you just correct me if I'm wrong. So if you have a secured asset on THORChain, could you then IBC it to Maya protocol and then use the Maya protocol to redeem that secured asset to that, or is that how it works, or how's it?
Not really redeem it, but you could swap it on the Maya app layer for something else. Now somebody else would get your secured asset, and they can then go back IBC to THORChain and kind of unwrap it there. So
Oh, right,
it
right.
it helps. Let's say you have THORChain Rujira, and THORChain never did ADA for some reason because they chose not to computationally. They saw we launched it on Maya, it wasn't as great as Zcash, so they implement Zcash. They don't implement Cardano. But somebody on Rujira legitimately wants to use ADA on Rujira on THORChain. Well, they would be able now to do so. Now, this applies to all other assets. So this way, chains that Maya is adopting, THORChain can use on Rujira. Chains that THORChain is adopting, Maya can use on its Rujira. So both Rujiras have pretty much any asset supported by both. And yeah, it complete redundancy. By the way, that's the core mission statement of Maya, bringing redundancy to the cross-chain space. We believe cross-chain DeFi is too important, so having more engines on that plane is good. So yeah, that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, so that was a dumb question by me because the assets are still secured by THORChain. But just to be clear, like we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, both on Maya protocol on THORChain. If I'm using Rajira on THORChain, right, and I've got my secure assets on there, I'm doing whatever I want to do. And then if THORChain, goes down, it's still not a big deal because they're secured assets on the app layer. And if I want to swap a secured asset like BTC to Ethereum, it would then just transition to Maya protocol. Is my understanding correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, good. Kenton,
I will have to hop off though, guys. Starting to feel a little bit of pain. So.
Oh, sure, man.
Yeah, sorry, I can't stay longer.
You're good, Alex. Well, can I leave you with a question, and we can think about it offline then, and we have you back to answer. I'm with all the synergies between THORChain and Maya, and working close together. What about just merging the two, and have economies of scale, and we have all the more people working on the same problem rather than two different ones.
So it's come up before. Not the first time this is suggested. Look, the problem is if the desire was economic growth, I think it's a good call. But for me, the most important primitive is rather resiliency. And for resiliency, you need redundancy. If you have both Maya and THORChain, let's say, use merged Rune, this Rune version that has all the Rune float plus all of the Cacao float. Now, this new Rune has a value, and if there's some economic problem on THORChain, it would take down Maya with it, or the other way around. So that's something you don't really want. It's already, Rune going up or down already affects Maya because we have a big Rune pool, because we have a lot of shared community. It's already very much near, but Maya can survive. And also, if something happens to Maya, THORChain can survive. I think that's ideal. But once you merge them, it actually becomes pretty difficult for that to happen. So, look, it's something I can't stop if Maya validators would like to do it. As again, we don't run the network, but it's something I would also suggest caution with, since again the reason we founded Maya was for resiliency and redundancy, not for money, economic growth, all of these things. So I think we can still have a very healthy two ecosystem system where as is right now, Maya has its devs, THORChain has its devs. We're both doing the best we can, and in the success of one is the success of the other as well. But in the failure of one, there's limited failure of the other. That's, I think, good. And I think it works well. And if Maya does well, we have more chains. Cacao goes up. The Cacao rune pool ends up absorbing more rune. Then all of these assets can be IBC to Ruggiero and THORChain and used there. And there's so much more economic activity, but it's not an existential threat if Maya goes under to THORChain. You see that? That's good. So I think it's something to ponder for people if that's come to their minds.
That makes sense.
Cool. Thanks, man. Well, thanks for coming. I appreciate your time. Get better, man.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. I think next week I should be at some point next week fully back in the arena. Right now we'll start slowly. But thank you for having me. Sorry for leaving after just 1 hour. But yeah, it was great. And yeah, guys, let's go. THORChain and Maya are both shipping like crazy. And I think out of everything out there, we have the most uncensorable, permissionless, decentralized infrastructure. So we have to keep going. So thank you for all you both do so often here with Spaces. And let's keep it up, guys. Have a nice weekend.
LFG, my friend. Love you, dude. You get better, and we'll do this again, okay?
Yeah, let's do it again. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye
Alex.
now.
Bye.
Awesome.
Well, the Patriot, we can't end on an hour, right?
Oh,
keep
absolutely
going.
not. These people, we don't do that. We're going to go for another 4, buddy.
Well, maybe should we open up to
Yeah,
the
let's
audience?
open it
I
up.
haven't seen anyone request. If anybody wants to come up and comment. I don't know if you have questions. I mean, we definitely don't want to speak for Aaluxx, but yeah, if you have any questions about Maya, we'll answer them best we can. Or if you have comments in general, if you want to change the subject, maybe. Anything else you want to talk about, Patriot, about Maya? Anything you want to bring up?
Well, I think, okay, let's do something let's do a little community-based thing here. You guys, I got to tell you, the most life-changing things for me is when I go and meet people at conferences. I know people want to stay anon. I respect that. If you don't want to meet someone, that's totally okay. I'm not talking to you. Maybe you have a high net worth. Maybe you're in a country where you're afraid. I totally understand. But I really want to reach out to the community right now. I want to let's do a THORChain get together, you guys. Let's pick a conference. For personal reasons, I'm a little handicapped in how far I can travel. I was supposed to go to Singapore, and due to those my personal reasons, I had to cancel. I'm so bummed about that. I was going to meet Jane Butterfly and so many people. But we really ought, let's get together, man. Let's see if we can organize something, because guys, that's where the magic happens. Meeting Aaluxx, I've hung out I think 3 or 4 times now. We walk around, we smoke cigars, we have very important conversations. There's nothing like spending all day with someone in this space, and you get to shake their hand, talk to them. There's just nothing like it. And really, some of the best things come out of that. We're pivoting ideas. Like right now, whoever's on stage, like it's just me and Kenton talking. But if we were all in a room together, except listening, like everyone's input happens simultaneously, and it's just an incredible experience. So I would really love to do that. I would love to do that.
Me too. I agree with you, man. And conference is something that we definitely talk about with marketing. it's a bit secondary right now for us, but it is on the table. You know, we're thinking side events. You know, if we do like a co-sponsored side event with someone else, another group, um, and we want to start doing that, and or having actual booths at the conferences, and if we do actually have a booth or even a side event, you know, we need people to go and kind of represent THORChain, right? And so, you know, I've been thinking about it. You know, how do we do this? And what I'd love to be able to do is kind of have like our own, you know, like Cato type program where, you know, whoever's contributing to THORChain and out there talking about it, you know, like for real, not just some you know, like we saw in Cato, like just basically people are in and out, you know, they're temporary, but the real fans of THORChain who are posting about it for real, like I see Finn Contrarian and Felix Norwegicus post all the time, their threads, and they're great. You know, rewarding people like that, give them, you know, pay for your flight and your hotel to go to the conference and represent THORChain. You know, be at the booth, talk about it, go to the side event, you know, promote it. So I'd like to try and do something like that. I don't know that our budget right now will be able to support it, but maybe by the time conferences come, we can do that. Thus, you know, or if it's not the full flight and hotel, maybe it's half the trip or something like that, where, you know, we're paying, we're benefiting the people who truly do contribute to THORChain, you know, giving you a free trip, and at the same time having our biggest cheerleaders actually represent THORChain at these conferences, and then you can guys can all meet too and hang out and get to know each other, you know, and stuff like that. So I'm thinking about this, a way to try and make that happen, make that work. You know, make the side events work. So you're absolutely right, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I talked to Joel about this, and, you know, I've done a few spaces with him and Polygon and stuff like that, where they talk about the efficacy of conferences. And really, the best bang for buck is not like the Bitcoin conference, where there's so many people there that it's just like no one actually goes, a very small percent of the population goes to the booths like that. It's actually the littler ones where the real magic happens, where it's more sparse, and that's where the intimate exchanges happen. So, you know, I'm open to recommendations, guys, but I know Rare Evo. I went to that last year, or was it the year before? I can't remember. Oh, it must have been last year, and I got to meet Mocha and stuff, and that was a pretty good one. I mean, there's not nearly as many people, but again, when it's sparse, like I don't know, it just seems to encourage human interaction. I went to the Bitcoin conference in 2025, and that was a cool experience. Got to hang with Aaluxx, but it's just there's so many freaking people, and a lot of them are maximalists, and they don't give you the time of day. So I think the size of the conference is important, and also the ethos of the conference is important as well. And Rare Evo is more, I think, akin to this DeFi thing that we do. So I think we should be kind of selective about the conference that we do. Rare Evo is interested in Canada, but maybe there's something else I'm not considering. And or of course, if there's ecosystem specific ones, like the Litecoin Summit one's actually pretty good because it's small and we support Litecoin, right? Like whatever it is, it doesn't matter because you know we have so many ways that there's linkages to THORChain, or maybe there's a Rogera angle as well. But yes, I totally agree. And that was a brilliant idea, Kenton, to reward the people who are consistently advocating for THORChain, educating. There can be no one better than that. So I absolutely love that idea. Well done.
Yeah, and then it's curated, handpicked. Like we all know who's posting, and you know, and actually is a real THORChat, right? Whereas like the Cato thing, you know, it's just all automated, and you don't really truly know. And so you know, the reward can go to the right people. And yeah, the one thing with the conferences, I think like especially with side events, is like at the bigger ones, like you mentioned, the Bitcoin conference. It could be good in the sense that, you know, all it takes is one or two good connections, you know, meeting with some high value people, you know, who are well connected or whatever. That could go a long way. But I totally agree with you about, you know, we should match the ethos of the conference. Like Monero Topia it's in I think it's in Mexico City in the new year. You know, they're bugging us to go. So maybe that, you know, that's something we entertain. It's a small conference, but you know, if we have a Monero pool and THORChain, like it should be, you know, it should be worth it, right? But in general, for us right now with budgeting, we're like, well, you know, what's our real reach? You know, how many humans we actually reach with the conference? And it's very few, right? You know, maybe it's a 50, 100 type thing. Whereas, you know, fixing our online presence, we can reach thousands of people for the same price, basically. So, yeah, so we've kind of put conferences on our second list, you know, number 2 and priority list type thing. But hopefully we get to the point where, you know, volume goes up, revenue goes up, and like, you know, marketing fund is flush with cash, and we can afford to go to every conference. And you know, it's kind of like, you know, then we just start just getting THORChain out everywhere, right? And you know, because it's sometimes that's half the, you know, you just spread your net as wide as possible, right? You don't know exactly which is going to catch or take on. And so hopefully we get to that point where we don't necessarily have to choose which conference. It's just we want to do them all. Now we just have to find people to go. You know, so hopefully we get to that point.
Right. Yeah. And so we have the people, we know the people. So we just got to get THORChain successful that we can actually spend money to send, excuse me, send these people. And, you know, guys, I've been to many conferences where I've represented THORChain. You know, I've always paid out of pocket, with exception of the last space. Kenton gave me his ticket. Very nice of you. I know I still owe you a steak dinner, and I will not forget that. But,
dude,
you know, guys,
you know what? Sorry to interrupt you. I met some the other day who told me, yeah, I met you in Vegas at the Bitcoin conference. I'm like, dude, that wasn't me. I wasn't there.
yes.
And he see, because he saw my name on you, and I'm like, that must have been Patriot. He's like, dude, I swear I met you. You was your name and blah blah blah. And so you talked to him. Anyway,
Dude,
sorry to interrupt you. Sorry.
that's what I'm talking about. Oh, dude, I sold it, man. I mean, the president and the vice president were there at the same time, and I was kind of nervous, dude, to accept my name tag. Go, okay, who are you? Kenton Ralph Toes. Said super confidently. I'm like, you know, it's weird because the security was really, you know, it was I mean, the president, the vice president there. So I'm like, okay, am I gonna get arrested? You know, but anyway, yeah, that's hilarious, dude. So shout out to whoever thought they met you. You didn't, you met me. That's awesome. Man, that's funny. Okay. Yeah. So what the hell were we talking about? That made me laugh so hard.
I interrupted you. I apologize. We're talking about conferences. You paid your way to go,
Oh, yeah,
but then I
yeah,
give you
yeah.
your free ticket. Okay.
You
Yep.
did. Yeah. So yeah, no. Yeah, let's get THORChain. Let's get it banging. The Rujiran app layer. And I've met a lot of people like, oh, I see Jima in the audience. I think I've hang out with you twice, Jima. I can't remember. That love that dude. He is Dutch, so you know there's interesting social interactions, and please be careful when you are around him. But he's otherwise a really nice guy. But you know, just be careful around Dutch people. That's all I can say. He did put a sticker on my back when I was hanging out with him, and I haven't forgot, so I will have my revenge. But otherwise, love the man. And Eric, let me see. I don't know if there's anyone else.
Patriot, are you like Austin Powers' dad?
Yeah, buddy, that's right.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know exactly.
There's only 2 kinds of people in the world. Is it like those intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch?
Yeah, dude. And Gima probably was eating some skin flakes off his own face. You know what I'm saying? So I can't confirm or deny that, but I'm worried about him. And then I also met Max Power as well. Super cool guy on part, really heavy in the Monero. So yeah, you know, Kenton, that's probably a really good idea if we go to the Monero conference, and maybe Max, if you want to come up, and we can chat about that. And if you've been, I'm sure you've been to a Monero conference, but that'd be a good in. And I know a few people as well on the Monero thing, and that would be really cool, right? So yeah, I mean, the whole thing is privacy, especially in the app layer too, with redacted. I mean, it's, well, that is kind of ZK cache design, but it's privacy. I don't know. There's a little, you know, consternation, but I think it makes sense.
Cool, man. Well, maybe we should just keep this short. You know, some people
Yeah.
complain about how long these spaces are, and if there's no need to like drag this out for the sake of adding time. I think people see the time on the space and then decide if you're gonna listen or not. So if they
That's
see
true.
this one is short, they might increase the chance of listening. Did someone we have someone on stage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aftermath. Go ahead.
GM. Hey, I just wanted to suggest in an interest to force multiply our outreach and partnerships and marketing efforts, maybe we should touch some of the other wallets and integrated coins and systems to do some co-marketing and maybe join in next Saturday if we're still reaching for guests. How about we take a quick informal internal poll and then poll them and see who wants to jump in and do an integrated effort co-marketing party.
Yeah, it's hard. I've been reaching.
Well, we can make it. We can glamorize it as impossible, or we can go after it as if it might be possible.
No.
But definitely, yeah. No. I'm just saying it's probably worth an effort.
Oh no, I'm not. Yeah,
And that
100%, 100%. It's just,
no, that's all.
yeah, it's just like a lot of these outreaches I make personally. So anyone like yourself can outreach. If you be have some common sense with it. But if anyone knows any ecosystem that wants to do a space, I have a very busy personal life myself. I know Kenton does too. And I think at one point, Kenton, we had like 6 spaces in queue. So we had a lot. So we do need a topic for next week. Maybe what's that guy's name, Kenton?
No,
Ray, you said?
yeah, I actually asked Ray for next week. He hasn't got back to me. But I thought the TC intern had someone lined up.
Yeah, I think so.
What
Or he's working on it.
yeah, maybe we shouldn't say anything until he confirms. I think we might have one. But Aftermath, yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Thanks. I mean, we can just look up the list of wallets that integrated THORChain. We just reach out to all of them and just say, hey, do you want to jump on a space? And
Yeah, or
that's
be more
yeah.
or be more intentionally methodical about it, and maybe just start with your own personal top 5 guest wish lists, and then we can magnify it with multiple people asking instead of just Denny or just one of us. We can
Well,
have
so
multiple.
that's what we've been doing. We've run out of our top 5. So we gotta start going down the list.
All right,
But no,
well,
but
top 15.
there you go. Yeah. No, well, but that's a good idea. We'll I think we can reach out. I think TC intern, if you're listening, probably good if it comes from the THORChain account. We can talk about it in our group chat and reach out to all the different wallets and just see if they want to talk. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, and he just confirmed in Telegram. Yes, looks like Bio Labs will be next week, next Saturday. So we got a topic. So there we go. Very cool. Very cool.
And but Buyer Labs, they have integrated THORChain, right? I've not heard it.
I have no idea.
I've not heard it. Where did he say?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, they have, and Maya. Yeah, so that'd be
it's a
great. We
wallet.
can learn about them.
It's a
Yeah.
wallet. Perfect.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yep.
There you go, Aftermath. There we go. We have our first wallet in partner integration there. Yeah, that's good. So there's probably what, a good 20 wallets now that have THORChain. So some of them we got to bite and be interested. And yeah, guys, please, if you have other ideas, other communities or wallets that don't have THORChain integrated, but you think should, that's what we want to try and make these Saturday spaces for, is to talk to partners, people integrating THORChain, people that want to integrate it, introduce, like Ray Youssef. That's why I wanted to, I am a fan of his, but I also want to try and introduce them to THORChain. So, just people like our projects, our communities out there like that, do you think would resonate with THORChain? We can get them on a space and talk about it. That'd be great. So, this is for you too, guys. It's not just for me and Patriot to listen to ourselves talk. We're trying to entertain you and give you topics and things that you want to hear and listen to as well. So if you have ideas for guests, please let us know.
Well, we do have some people requesting up. So, I'm going to accept. We'll see what happens here in terms of time. So let's see here. Friggin' X. Okay, Crypto Antic. Oh, did he drop? Okay. Let's do It's so glitchy.
Hello.
Okay, who's speaking? Okay, CryptoAntic, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to know if THORChain is giving grant to projects or not right now.
I did not understand. Could you say that again?
I just want to know if THORChain is giving grants to project or not right now.
Oh, token grants? No.
This is the best way to encourage the projects to build on THORChain. So why not you're giving the grant right now?
Well,
We're not in charge of it. So maybe jump in the dev Discord and try to reach out to someone there and contact the treasury. You can try and talk to JP.
Yeah, sure, cool. Actually, I know multiple projects who are looking for grants and they are building a cool thing. So just want to know if you are giving the grant, I will forward them that you can build on THORChain as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, join the dev Discord. Go to there's a link. There's a channel that says contributors start here, and go check that out. And then that hopefully should lead you down the path you want to go.
Sure, sounds cool.
All right, thank you so much. All right, let's go to More Better You. Want to test your mic there?
Yeah. Hi guys. A couple of questions. I've been really happy with the bonding API rewards recently. It seems to be hitting around 20% regularly. Is there a mechanism to withdraw some of the rewards without waiting for the node to churn out? Is that something that's being built or being considered? That's the first question. The second one is there's a lot of noise about near intents these couple of days. Are rapid swaps something that's going to match that? Or I know Chad Barraford had mentioned that we are building intents, but it's going to take some time. So these were my two questions.
Kenton, you want to take that one?
I can answer both. So the first answer about bonding, no, we got to churn the node out to withdraw your whatever rune you want. I have in the past put forward the idea that the bond providers should be able to have a setting or something to have X% of the yield go to their wallet to outside of the bond module. And generally, I think people agree. I think it's a good idea. There's just been no bandwidth, for the devs to do it. It's like a very low priority thing because it's not really going to change. The devs just have higher priorities to do other things. So I hope one day, eventually, that there'll be that functionality. Especially if I don't know how to say this out loud. If we actually do remove the hard cap, and the total amount of rune bonded doesn't really matter anymore, then I would think you'd be able to remove however much rune you want at will. Because it doesn't, the total amount of rune bonded doesn't matter anymore. Whereas before, the rune bonded in the system did matter, so it was kind of more important to keep it locked in. So, but again, I think it's just going to come down to bandwidth for the devs to build a feature like that that they have time to do. And then your other question about near, I don't think rapid swaps will change anything. If there's any issue with near, it's our quotes, and I don't think rapid swaps are going to change our quotes. But rapid swaps will make trades faster, but it's not going to improve the quote. And everything I'm hearing about the quotes on near is that they're subsidizing it, that they're eating the costs to get in cheaper. So I don't know how long they can eat those costs for. If they're doing it to try and gain market share, gain volume, great. But how long can they operate at a loss? And just a couple of more comments about near is that the more you guys all talk about it and post about it, the more you actually are benefiting them. Just ignore them. Don't talk about it. Like, don't post about it, because then you're just rewarding the Twitter algorithm that it's something that it's trending, right? And they want to show people. So like, this is what drives me nuts with Bitcoin maxis and Peter Schiff. Like, Peter Schiff gets so much free marketing from Bitcoiners because he just shits on Bitcoin, And oh, well, we gotta attack Peter Schiff, and then we gotta interview him and talk to this and that. So now anyone in the world who doesn't like Bitcoin and wants to own gold just goes to Peter Schiff. Like, I'm sure his gold business has gone through the roof because of all the free advertising he gets from Bitcoiners. If Bitcoiners really think he's an idiot and like he's a nobody, whatever, just ignore him. Stop talking about him, and then he'll just become irrelevant. So, the more people post and talk about, our competition, the more relevant you are making them. I'm not saying, totally put out of your mind, don't think about it, but don't help them succeed, right? And then just a step further than that is, I think actually keeping with the Bitcoin and gold scenario, like Bitcoiners and gold bugs, just a bit of tension, they argue amongst each other, which one's better, blah blah blah. They're on the same team, right? Like, their real enemy is fiat money, and there's more than enough money in the world to move into Bitcoin and gold, for both to go up dramatically, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other. And the same thing with THORChain and Near. Like, doesn't have to. Like, everyone's so wrapped up, and there has to be only one DEX that the whole world uses. There's dozens of different sexes, centralized exchanges, right? There's Binance and Coinbase and all these others. There's room for dozens of different DEXs, right? And like, if you add up if you look at the volume between THORChain and Maya and Chainflip and Near, and you add it all together, it's 0.1% of the centralized exchange spot volume. Like, our real competition are centralized exchanges, are Binance and Coinbase. Like, that's what we need to go after. So like, instead of us like dogs under the table barking each other for scraps and crumbs on the floor, like, we should be looking to get on the table, get a seat at the table and eat a real meal. And those are the centralized exchanges. That's our competition. That's who we have to, get volume from. So yeah, like, Near it's pain in the butt, and it sucks. And in theory, if they didn't exist, we'd be getting most of that volume. I mean, we don't have all their chains, right? So they're getting volume from chain we don't have. But so it's not necessarily we'd have all of their volume. But yeah, of course, our volume would be higher without them. But I don't. Yeah, I think it's. I don't think it's the end of the world. It's competition. It's how it goes. Like, to think you're going to have a monopoly in your market, it's pretty. It's impossible in a free market, right? You're going to get these huge monopolies in meat space. It's usually because of regulation. So there's no regulation in DeFi. It's a free market, so there's going to be competition. So we can't stop that. And if we really want to compete, we just have to figure out how to get better quotes, tighter spreads, and I hope limit orders do that. We'll see. But I think if the limit orders would have a better chance of improving our quotes than rapid swaps would. Rapid swaps just change the time on the trade.
Yeah.
I'll stop. See if you have any question or Patriot you want to follow up.
Yeah, I'm going to follow up. There's actually a little workaround with the, getting rewards from your bonds. So, for example, because Aaluxx was just on the show, Aaluxx, one of his nodes, or maybe multiple his nodes, how he does it is when you are a bond provider to his node, he charges 100% fees. So you're not gaining any fees directed to your bond, but every time you churn out, he'll send your reward allocation to your address. So that's an interesting workaround. So, that's something that you can do, but I just wanted to mention that just so you know. You got anything else for us, more better you?
Yeah, well, no, I think that's great. That's great. Address both questions. I was just wondering if the great APIs that we are seeing these days, is that because of the fee experiments that are running, or is that because the market's been really volatile the last couple of months?
Well, I would say, yeah. Whenever we've increased the min bips, the arbitrage, the fees that we get from arbitrage have been helpful, right? So, with decentralized pools, which is an incredible innovation itself, it's going to require arbitrage. There's always going to be profit-seeking arbitragers that do that. So that does help for sure. It just really fluctuates from day to day, really. But as Kenton said, Near is capturing a lot of volume right now. And that's just the cold reality of it, right?
Right. Yeah, that's great. Can't wait for the full suite of Regira to go get firing on all cylinders and see where it takes us.
Yes. And you know, to Kenton's point, right? He was perfectly correct. He says our competition was sexist. And for those who have not heard last week's when did we do the Regira one where we talked about Redacted? Sorry, I had a brain fart there. Go and if you guys have not listened to Redacted, that is absolutely incredible. So everything about the app layer, you know, right? Redacted is going to make Zcash-esque privacy for all secured assets on the app layer. Huge. That's so powerful, you guys. So what we are building here, guys, it's not just swaps. I mean, swaps are the very beginning. The power of Regira and THORChain and soon Maya protocol, it is truly a level up. It is a 0 to 1, and it's because of our base infrastructure, because of the first principles being decentralized, right? The way that we're built, that we can build this thing. So it you know, and our team has never been bigger, and better, I would say. And we're continually adding devs, right? So things are looking good. And if we got to tread a little water because they're subsidizing their fees on Near Protocol, it is what it is, right? We can hang tight for a little bit. We just keep building, we keep executing, and I firmly believe we're going to get there. I'm going to go ahead and go to G Dude. Go ahead, test your mic, G Dude. What do you got for us? G Dude, if you are speaking, cannot hear you. I'm going to recheck your mic there.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
No worries. Go ahead.
All right. Yes. I have a question about rebranding. I've been hearing for a while now that you guys are working on rebranding for THORChain. I wonder what that specifically means, and are we going away from the name, and are we finally gonna leave behind all these projects like THORSwap and THORWallet that basically are pushing now a competition? I mean, it feels like the right time to detach from those names, to be honest, because most people think all the time that they're the same projects, and we're basically not. So I was wondering what the plans are in that regard. Thanks.
Kenton talked about that extensively in the beginning of the show. I don't know if we want to repeat material. I'll kick it to you, Kenton. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the same thing, G Dude. If you don't, we're done. Just go to the recording, listen to the beginning. I think I addressed.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't here.
That's okay.
I must have missed that.
No,
I'll just re-listen.
No, you're
good.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. But yeah, if you don't mind, just don't want to rehash it all here. I think I explained it pretty well at the beginning.
No, all good, all good. I was just when the recording's ready, I will listen to it. All good. Thanks.
So, but the Cole's notes is no rebrand right now. Maybe next year. And so I explained myself.
Fair enough.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that what's saying about. I guess we can I'll add a little bit to that, Kenton, because I didn't talk about it at the beginning, right? I like what you said. It's because rebranding right now, obviously, blah blah blah. You know, we're running from our past. We don't want to do that, but you know, when we really start, things are really going well. Regira, blah 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 blah, right? And we've got this app layer, we got THORChain. You know, that's a lot of complexity for people to hear multiple names of a similar DeFi engine, right? We have THORChain and the app layer, and what's this and what's that. It's really overwhelming, you know. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I think really it's all contingent on success, right? We are very successful. We're doing well. We take it from there and we figure it out if we're going to do it or not.
Yeah, and like, if I was dictator of everything, I do like the idea of merging with Maya. I think economies of scale is better. I think we're stronger together. I understand where he's going with the redundancy thing, but it's like, you know, Bitcoin is strong because there's a lot of people working on Bitcoin. There is no redundancy or backup on Bitcoin. It's just Bitcoin. And the bigger the network gets, the more decentralization is your safety. And then just from like a marketing point of view, like it's just, you know, just to not have to explain Maya. It's just so much easier. And then even like, and same with Regira, like from that point of view, like I do understand and agree with, you know, THORChain merging with Regira. It's so hard to explain. And like, it's, you know, this is a problem with THORChain. This is how difficult it is to understand. There are many different moving parts, and the harder it is to understand, the harder it is for people to use. and especially to invest in, and especially more sophisticated money, right? Because they want to understand. And you start walking them through everything, and it's just like, it's exhausting, right? Whereas if we had everything on one roof and it's just one name and it's all together, like Maya and Ruggiero is all together, it's so much easier to explain and to sell. And we actually didn't get into this. We were going to talk about opening up deposits on the pools. I really don't open this can of worm, guys. It's the last thing I want to talk about right now. Like, I feel like, you know, THORChain has this habit of like creating drama for itself every few months. I don't want to get into it. I'm happy with the way things are. Let's just keep going. But like from like a marketing point of view, it's another thing, you know, having to explain why the pools and the deposits are closed. You know, why are the synths still there, and then how do the synths work? And they're just such a I haven't had anybody been able to really walk me through the math on synths. Like it just seems like this, like you know, university level calculus type, you know, takes to understand how it all works, and it just all it does is just turns money off, turns off investors. So like from you know, keeping THORChain more simple, easier to understand, you know, we got to open the pools up at some point. We got to get rid of the synths at some point, just to make THORChain simpler and easier to understand, so people can invest in it and want to, you know, use it. Like both, right? You invest in it and use it. So, you know, a lot of my thoughts on a lot of stuff is like coming from the marketing side. How do we sell this? How do we tell the story? How do we get people to use THORChain? And how do we sell this to investors to use it? And like, it's the same with investors. Like as a user, the more complicated something is to use, people don't want to use it. The more complicated an investment is to understand, people don't want to invest in it. So we gotta go to our goal should be going towards simplicity. You know, we need to remove complexity, and you know, the more complexity we remove, the more successful we'll be. And you know, that's going back to Bitcoin. You know, that's it. You know, everyone talks about. Like I just saw a guy posting about Zcash. You know, how he had Zcash sitting in a wallet with no ledger, and how you know, it's dead because of some Zcash did several years ago, and Ledger didn't apply it or whatever. So his funds are effectively frozen on his address. I don't know how it works, but he's saying, you know, this is a benefit of Bitcoin. He can just buy it and forget about it for 10 years, and he knows it's not going to change. It's still going to be there. And you know, Bitcoin went that path of just being stupid simple, and you know, not employing smart contracts, not doing other things, and that simplicity is what is part of what gives it value. That, you know, people just can understand it easier, right? It's not going to be changing all the time on them. So I'm not saying THORChain will never stop changing or anything like that. I don't like, you know, we do have to keep adding features and updates and stuff, but we don't have to make it purposely complex. You know, if there's ways we can simplify it, we should. So yeah, that's my kind of going back to the LP deposit thing. That's part of my would be my desire to open up for deposits, is just it's one less thing to explain to investors, and it's just a reminder of THORFi. We have to hash out and walk through the whole THORFi debacle, right? And the sooner we can like distance ourselves from that and move forward, the better. And so yeah, not that's I'll stop talking, rant over.
Yeah, and no worries. Interesting conversation for sure. I know Eric's up here now, and he wanted to comment on the rebranding thing, and then Boone joined. We'll go to Boone next. Go ahead, Eric. Check your mic.
Hey, can you hear me, guys?
Sound great. Go ahead.
Perfect. If there's some chaos behind on the background, I apologize beforehand, because are with the kids. But to say two things. First, this was an amazing space, guys. You always excel at this. You know how to drive a conversation and how to, you know, bring the conversation down to a level where everyone can understand, but also bring up some very interesting takes. And I was actually speaking with Zay. We went to ETH Mexico. We spoke about THORChain, about Maya. Actually, Aaluxx was going to be speaking there as well, because, you know, Mexicans and all, but he wasn't able to attend because of the surgery. But we actually spoke about all of the merge ideas, and one thing is clear. Maya and THORChain are moving in unison. We are moving towards the same goals. We share the same ethos. While Emerge, well, Aaluxx already explained why he like his stance on the topic. There could also be some THORChain could acquire Maya, but the most interesting part of this would be, since we're already moving in unison, why not just, if THORChain already has a front end for THORChain, there doesn't need to be a merge in the tech. Maybe it just needs to be a merge or a creation of an entity that pushes both. In the end, like Aaluxx said, Maya, well, Cacao and Rune are already connected very, very deep with the pool that connects both ecosystems. So if one succeeds, the other gets pulled up. Of course, you have to consider the market caps and all of that, right? But in the end, if you're pushing in marketing terms or in branding terms, one entity that pushes both of the ecosystems under one roof, that would actually kind of be like the best of both worlds, Kenton. Maybe it's something that it could be discussed. You don't need the tech to be merged because it already is kind of with the pool, right? So why don't you just do it with the branding?
I can answer that, Eric. So we are going to do that. Kind of. So and I wanted to tell us Aaluxx, but he had to jump too soon. So on the THORChain swap interface, with DEX aggregation, the way the logic is going to work is all trades go through THORChain first. That's the priority. With no affiliate fee. If that asset isn't trading on THORChain, then it'll look on Maya. If it trades on Maya, it'll go there, no affiliate fee. If it doesn't trade on Maya, then it'll look elsewhere, and then it'll tack on an affiliate fee. And so the affiliate fee, we're going to try and keep it low. The guys that are the guys that are building it, the devs, right? They need to get paid, right, to support that. But trades on THORChain and Maya will have zero fees, but the priority will go to THORChain and then Maya second. So we're gonna support them that way. But I still don't think. I mean, that's fine from like a UX point of view, like a user point of view. Then we just drive traffic to our front end, and Maya should realize some volume that way. They're still going to miss out on the bigger ones like Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? But I think about it from an investor point of view. Like, I want to invest in THORChain. Who is the you guys don't understand. Like single-handedly, the most common question I get from any investor, and I've raised several $1 million. People invest in THORChain. Like, I've talked to like hundreds of people about this now. And hands down, the biggest question and concern is competition. Who is the competition? And this and that. And like, I have to bring up Maya, and it's like, oh, but they're a friendly fork. They're a hot sister or hot girlfriend. Sorry, Patriot, hot sister. But and it's just like, oh yeah, you're friends, right? But you're competing, like so it's just another thing to have to explain. And going back to I do stand by, there is room for multiple dexes, right? It doesn't have to be winner take all, but still people want to see that. They want to see that potential that you could be the ultimate winner. You could be the biggest, right? And you could squash your competition and whatever. And so, if we acquired Maya, that's one less, dex in our sphere. If we acquired Chainflip, one less dex, then it's just, us and Near. We couldn't acquire Near. They're way too big. But and this is how it works in TradFi. Companies they'll grow through acquisition and get themselves to a size that then becomes interesting to institutional investors. Because a lot of institutional investors, they don't want to touch investments under 20, 50, $100 million, whatever. And so these little companies, they can't get financings, they can't raise capital to build their projects. So what do? They merge with 3 other small projects and they become a medium-sized company that now these institutions will invest in. So, there is something to be said about, being a certain size. And if we can, if, adding Maya increases our size and our market share and whatever, in my mind, that is an example of 1 + 1 = 3. Like, I don't think acquiring Regira would do that, but adding Maya could, especially with the communities, very similar, a lot of the same people, same tech, most importantly, same culture. It's the two would merge very, very well. If someday we did say what's possible take over Chainflip, they'd probably just, whatever tokens we give them, they dump on us type thing. But it could make sense from like a strategic point of view to capture market share. I'm not saying they would do it or not. Who knows? I'm just talking. I'm speculating with you guys right now, right? But that's kind of how I view it. From like, how do we sell this to an investor? Why are people going to invest in this? And the pitch and the story and just go back to the more we have to explain and the more things out there, it's just harder to sell. So yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts on whether the two should join or not.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting conversation. I think as time goes on, guys, success is the most important catalyst right now. So let's get successful. Let's kick some ass. Let's get Regira firing on cylinders. Let's get our swap volume up. Let's kick some butt. And then I think the answer will manifest itself based on the circumstances around us, and it'll become more clear. Right now, we are in a growth. We're early on, right? So let's see what happens. And then this is a very interesting conversation. I'm sure we'll revisit it many times. I'm go ahead and kick it to Boone. Thank you for being patient. Go ahead and test your mic there, buddy.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. And so I just want to, I've been working and traveling, so I'm maybe a little bit behind on things. So if I am, I apologize. But I liked what Kenton was saying just a moment ago about simplifying THORChain. I very much think that's a great direction to go in. And I think there's been conversation around what to do about the synths and the pools and that kind of thing. And I just wanted to once again float the idea. To me, I think it's the simplest and a pretty obvious solution, honestly, of deprecating LPs, since almost all the liquidity in the pools is already controlled by the protocol. Just not to steal any LP, but it's almost all POL anyway. And then just reroute the flows. And I've been throwing out the number of 20%. That just goes into whatever pools, and there can be some mechanism, or it could even be like weighted. So just like most of it goes to Bitcoin or whatever. That would be a simple solution. And then just simplify that whole section of the protocol. And then the pools will slowly grow over time based on volume. And then they'll snowball. So as they get deeper, they'll generate more volume per price change, and then that'll generate more fees. And so it'll just slowly snowball over time. And instead of renting liquidity by paying out LPs, we can just slowly buy liquidity in the form of just directly depositing it. And then it'll also function as, not completely, but very close to burn, where the rune that goes into the pools will, within a margin, not be sold. And I just think it would make the whole thing quite simple. It has the burn narrative and the self-generating fee narrative. And anyway, I just want to float that again.
I like it. I do. I've thought about that, Boone. I've seen you say that more than once. And I like how you said renting liquidity from LPs. That's very aptly said. It's very simple, right? I don't know exactly how it would work, but if you deposit funds via the POL, it's permanent. It's not going anywhere. Of course, arbitrage will have rune coming in and out of the system, but it functions as a burn as well, right? And then the native TVL of the network goes up. I think it's very powerful. I think it's an interesting idea. And to Kenton's point, like you highlighted, it's very simple to understand, right? Whatever the ratio would be, you have a percentage of fees that go to the node operators, and then you capture some of that permanently of that yield goes to TVL. Maybe that's something that's toggleable by node operators. They want X percentage to go into Bitcoin pool, or maybe if we add a new pool like Solana, we can build that up, or whatever, right? Curious your thoughts, Kenton, on this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. There's an interesting idea, and like again, I really just want to reiterate this to LPs. We're just theorizing. This isn't. I don't want everyone jumping into Discord and screaming and yelling. Oh, what's happening now? Nothing's happening. This just came up on Thursday on that space, and we're just kind of like talking about it. But it it's something in the future we will have to have a more serious conversation about. I don't think we need to do it now. But yeah, it's something will have to be done at some point, right? Like we can't. I don't think it's right to keep the deposits off forever and the synths on forever. The one in the way I see it is, like LPs, you're down, you're screwed. But if we're gonna like help LPs out, okay, fine, leave synths on like leave them on the pool so they have a chance to go back up. Okay, that's fine. But I don't think deposits should be frozen, because that was always part of the risk before, right? That was always part of the deal with the leverage play. Like it could go up or could go down, and it went down, right? And LPs lost on it going down. I don't think depositing or preventing deposits in the pool is like I don't think it's fair to the rest of the network. I think leaving the synths on, okay, that's a fair compromise. We'll give you guys a chance to get back. But then, how long do we do that? Is it a year, 2 years, 3 years? Like, how do we know that's not holding THORChain back from growing? And I go back to like the idea with we gotta start using cold swaps now instead of memoless, right? Cold, the whole idea of a cold swap is like cold storage, right? We borrow credibility from a term and a concept that everybody already understands. With the pools, no one understands the synth leverage. That is totally unique to thing. And you're asking somebody to stop everything they're doing and learn completely new math that even people on THORChain have a hard time explaining to me. That just makes it that much harder for someone to use and wrap their head around. Whereas if the pools were just simple, basic, a regular pool V2, well, everybody knows what those are. They already understand permanent loss, they understand how those work. They can now integrate that into their model very easily, and it just opens the door to a bigger audience for people to use and invest in. So the sooner, the more THORChain can do that's just the same as what everybody else does, the better. Like we don't have to. Not every single thing has to be completely unique and original to THORChain. That's just ridiculous. It just becomes the Homer mobile, and it's just retarded. Nobody wants to use it. YouTube Homer mobile, if you haven't seen that Simpsons episode. The more we can just do the same as what others are doing, the better off we'll be, because it'll be easier for other people to adopt, because it'll be easier for them to understand. So the sooner we can get the pools to that point, the better.
I think that was well said. One thing I want to say is, one argument you make, Kenton, I think about it a lot. I really love the argument you make is people love the narrative, right? People, when they invest in something, it's often like the idea of what it is. And one important thing that you really said, and there's just a potential to be really powerful here, is a comeback story. Everyone loves a comeback story. And so, yes, ultimately we're going to have to go one way or the other, but it would be truly phenomenal if we could get the LPs back to a state where they're much healthier. That would be the ultimate comeback story. It would spread like wildfire. It would be such a wonderful catalyst for THORChain. And not only would it be a catalyst, but it would, I think, mark a bifurcation in our history where we've turned a corner, that we've gone the extra mile. So I think a middle ground here is, we give it a shot. I would love to see that. I want to see LPs, but at some point, if it just doesn't happen, then I think we gotta go down that route. But I think with Ruggira and the other things we're building, that the THORFi that destroyed us, this other app layer really has a chance to help us with this. So
I agree. Like, that's why I don't want this to make this a big deal and have people freak out.
Right.
Like let's just get all these updates and these things time to cook, and we're all expecting it to turn the room price around, and that solves everything, right? Then those LP units get back up to even. We can remove the synth leverage, and it's all done. We're all good, right? I don't think there's any need to about anything right now. Let's give that a shot first.
Well, Kenton, just to be clear, like what I'm suggesting, there wouldn't be deposits really into the pools anymore. Like third parties would not deposit into the pools anymore because there would be no yield for doing so. And so it would be a radical simplification. And so that's, my suggestion would be we would no longer pay yield to LPs, and it would instead just be deposited into and locked in the pools, basically.
I have a question, Boone. I should know this, but I get confused. I get insecure about how it works. If a POL is added to the pool, is that a different synth? Does it affect the synth leverage? So if we have like 5% of yield going to the Bitcoin pool and the POL gets deeper, that affects the synth leverage and hurts LPs, or does it not? I can't remember right now.
No, I mean, it would actually slightly help LPs because it would be rune that never gets sold. I mean, what's trapping, like, let's call them stuck LPs, people who are suffering from the synth leverage. What's trapping them is the rune to Bitcoin or rune to Ethereum ratio. So it's like rune price versus Bitcoin price, or rune price versus Ethereum price. That's what's trapping them. And my suggestion doesn't touch that at all. And I've forever been advocating for LPs. And so, we need the rune price to go up to unstick them. And that's really the only thing that there is for that. But my suggestion is separate from that concern. And I mean, it honestly would help them because of the burn function of protocol owned liquidity, where it would contribute to a rising rune price. If that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. I mean, gosh dang it. That's the one part I didn't understand, was the POL in relationship to the synth leverage. But if that's true, then, I mean, is that not the solution, Kenton? It seems pretty straightforward to me. I like this idea. Where am I wrong? Maybe someone can tell me, but right, you get more TVL in the network. I mean, yes, the market's going to decide what rune's worth, but it's buy pressure. It's going in the pool. It's deepening things. And then if it helps raise the rune price, helps LPs, positive feedback loop. Am I missing something here? I don't know. Why don't we do that? Yeah. I like it. I don't know what you guys think. Tell me what you think. Let's get the conversation going. But anyway, we have a new speaker up here. Max Power. You want to test your mic? Go ahead. Max Power. If you're
all right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Nice to hear your voice.
Yes, good to hear you too. It's been a while.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
So I'm gonna make it quick because I'm at work though. But we've been talking about that a couple of times there in Discord as well. Because I was suggesting that eventually, and like Kenton was saying, we'll have to consider it at some point. But if let's say we crystallize the losses for all LP and we were done with the synths, we're restarting again all that FUD and marketing bullshit. People will start to complain on, or we're just starting back zero with THORFi again. I would avoid that at all costs, as long as possible. But what I suggested and the devs, I know it requires some dev time, so I guess it's not priority right now. But if we were to crystallize it at some point, I would rather start a new pool, like let's say for most affected assets, but mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum, fresh of cents. Leave the cents there for as long as they need, and the main pool becomes that new pool, I would say, even BTC2, whatever. Free, like I said, free of any cents leverage, but then you have all the UIs accessing only that pool, but you have arbitrageurs that can still keep doing the work between the two pools. So you keep both party happy. Now we can reopen deposit at some point if you wanted to do deposit, or just get rid of that no deposit thing. But you're not bound by time anymore, and people can withdraw whatever they want from that leveraged LP. So yeah, you just need an UI basically for these people to be able to withdraw from that pool, so they will be the only one to access these older pools. And that would probably solve that problem from, like, yeah, and it would require some dev just to fix that, but it's not a priority right now. But that's my main concern with just crystallizing the losses is the FUD it will bring again, and we don't need that. So
yeah.
You're absolutely right. That's why I want to make this clear again, you guys. Nothing's happening. We're just talking. If anybody gets in Discord to talk about this, I'm not going to reply. I'm not supporting any kind of vote or any change. Nothing right now. I think everything should stay the same. We're just talking ideas right now. And I completely agree with you, Max. Like, if we were to do anything like that, it should have been done in January, when max pain, when there's max FUD, when we're dealing with all of then. If we go about and do something like that right now, you're absolutely right. It's just going to create all this FUD again and just distract everybody, and just, it's awful. So totally agree with you. Like, there's no way we should crystallize losses right now. But that was kind of what I was thinking with why I wanted to leave the pools open, is that they would just slowly over time be crystallized by natural forces. Well, perhaps not necessarily, but because as new people enter the pool, that does reduce the upside potential, or like the synth leverage for those people, right? And so that's kind of where I was looking at it. It would just slowly over time be crystallized, but we're still honoring keeping the synths, but we're leaving the pools open, and it just happens naturally. Your idea with adding a second pool, I appreciate where you're going, but I would be against that, because this goes back to adding complexity. It's just adding another thing to have to understand. And I think in reality, that's what the limit orders, the order book is going to be. I know it's not a real order book, but like, lack of a better term, that's what limit swaps are going to be. Because this actually, TCBs, he talks about this, that like, with the liquidity pool, we're getting paid for liquidity, whereas on like centralized exchanges, the liquidity providers, they pay the exchange to trade, right? Whereas on the DEX, we're instead of the liquidity paying us, we're paying the liquidity, and so it's capital inefficient. And so with limit swaps, we start moving towards the liquidity providers paying for liquidity on THORChain. So I'm hoping that the limit orders is going to basically be what you described, and that's where we're going to see most of the liquidity anyway. So that, like, some people think if we open the pools for deposits, it's not like there's all of a sudden going to be all this money rushing in. Like, if the yields are low, like, no one's going to touch it, right? The only reason they jump in is if they're trying to get a leverage play on Rune, which in my mind is one reason to open them, because it's like, well, maybe it is good to have a bunch of money flow in, and that'll drive the Rune price up. It starts new money coming in does start reducing, does start making it harder, like the break-even price goes higher for those LPs, but maybe it feeds on itself, because new money coming in trying to chase the leverage, going in the pools drives up the Rune price, and then Rune starts outperforming, and you just get a bit of a feedback loop. I'm theorizing, I don't know, but So unless you had some nice feedback loop like that, I don't think there's going to be all of a sudden this flood of money being deposited into pools. It would just happen slowly over time. And I think most money is just going to go to the limit order books anyway. So yeah, but yeah, going back to your other pool idea, I think that would just add more complexity that we don't want to have.
No, I agree with you on that. That was just a proposition, like it's a last resort, not to hurt whoever's right now still hoping to recover from that. Because, like I said, and if we open the pools, for sure, it's gonna slowly crystallize that loss for everyone. And as well too, if you divert some of that APY back in LP, I mean, then you're hurting TCY, people hoping to get some like back to parity, right? So I mean, there is no perfect answer there. It's just a like last resort suggestion at some point. Hey, if we really, didn't want to hurt, but we really needed to reopen stuff. But like I said, and that was the same comment from the dev that limits swap it's not needed at this point. But yeah, I'm just looking more down the road there. It's as another solution in case of.
And like part of the reason I was thinking I want to open the pools again for deposit is like, what if LPs want to average down? And like, if you have a position that's down huge, you either sell or you buy more. So like, but I've tried to reach out to a few people within THORChain, being like, can you help me with the math and the sense? Like, how does it actually work? Like, if you have an LP position that's actually technically zero and you go buy $1,000 worth, put another grand into the pool, like, are you lowering your cost basis? Is it much quicker to get paid back? Like, how does that actually work? I haven't had a good answer. No one's been able to tell me.
Well, it's like right now you just diminish the exponential leverage, right? So if you put back $1,000, say in that, you're diminishing your leverage on the way up or down at this point because we removed leverage. So you're just robbing basically that leverage possibility of older LPs in favor of the new one, but with less leverage, and it will be spread out among everybody who's depositing. So I don't think it's a good idea, but I mean, it'll happen if we open the pool. Right?
Well, I want to know. I've been thinking about Boone's proposal about adding to the POL. I want to know why that's bad. Why does that not work? What's the weakness there? I mean, because right now every swap with every fee we earn, like you could say that THORChain is slowly healing itself, right? And we have a burn, right? And I know we have modifications coming to that. But if we're adding to the depth of the pool with the POL, that just seems like a more optimal way to begin the healing process. I like it. I think it's interesting. I might not understand something, right? I have to leave open the possibility because, like Kenton, the math is just it's really complex, right? But
isn't that the same thing though? If you're adding to POL, now you're adding without leverage. So
right. Well, that's why I asked. Like, I don't understand the relationship between synth leverage and POL deposit. That's the thing I don't. For me, I always just thought it was another LP, but from what I'm gathering, it's not exactly the case because the POL isn't zeroed out, right? I mean, it has a valuation. Yeah, gosh, I need to go back in the weeds in the book again. It's beyond my. Okay, Boone's coming back up. Maybe he can add some crystallization here, because it's just something that I haven't thought about for a while, and I just kind of lose it after a while. Boone, are you up? Can you hear me? Are you a speaker? It says you're listening.
Yeah, I'm back now.
Can you add a little context here? Can you clarify?
It's been a second since I really wrapped my head around the math, but I did have my head around the math. The way the math of the cents works is that it keeps constant the non-rune asset. And so, like, let's say Bitcoin, right? If you have a Bitcoin synth and you own, let's just say, half the pool, right? And then if Rune goes down relative to Bitcoin, if you were an LP, a normal LP, a dual LP, as I would call them, you still only have half the pool. But if you have a Bitcoin synth, you now have 2/3 of the pool instead of half the pool. And that comes out of the liquidity of the DLPs. And so that's what happened is Rune went down relative to Bitcoin. And so the synth percentage of the pool increased at the expense of the dual liquidity providers. And so it's now fallen so much that there's not even enough liquidity in the pools to cover what would have been owed to the Bitcoin synths. And that's why all the DLPs are zeroed out at the moment. Now, if the price ratio fixes itself, then the math works in reverse. And that's what I've been calling synth leverage. But the easiest way to think about it is the percentage of the pool that the synths can lay claim to. And right now, that's basically 100%, which is why all the DLPs are zeroed out. But if the price ratio improved, then they would, and it could even go down. They could have less than, and that's what people were gambling on, is they were gambling that Rune would go up, and then the synths would have less than half the pool, and the DLPs would have benefited the opposite way. Does that help?
Yeah, that does. My main question though is, what is the specific relationship? So I understand that. I understand that very well. What is the specific relationship between the POL and the synth units and the leverage? Can you crystallize that for me? That's where I'm unsure.
Yeah. All right. Well, so there's different versions of protocol owned liquidity. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure the Treasury just has some DLP positions, and that you would also call that protocol owned liquidity. But specifically, what I think a lot of people mean these days is just the synth positions that THORChain, I'm just going to be frank, essentially stole from the synth investors. And so that's what most people, and so it's just the synth positions is what most people mean by POL right now.
Maybe my low IQ is kicking in right now. Okay, so by adding to, I want something. Maybe I'm just really retarded, but
so you're talking about my proposal. Well, so that
right,
would be, I'm proposed. Yeah, what I would propose is that like, let's say 20% of our swap fees would go as protocol owned liquidity, and that would be separate from the synth positions. This is again, it's the same term being used in different contexts. And so what that would do in the math is it would add LP units, which would also add the pool units. And that would be subject. It would also, if the Rune price continued to go down relative to the paired assets, that would also like suffer synth loss because there's still synth units in the pools. But we don't really care because you're just losing protocol owned liquidity is being eaten by protocol owned liquidity. So it doesn't really matter because the amount of coins in the protocol is still going up. And so what I'm talking about, my POL that I'm suggesting would be just depositing old dual liquidity, non-synth pool units. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and does that avoid the synth leverage that hurts dual LPs that are already in the pool? Or is that unavoidable? No, okay, that's the thing.
No, as long as the synth units are in the pools, there's going to be synth leverage on all the DLP units. But my point is that because the synth units are POL, if new DLP POL gets eaten by old POL, it's still all POL, and no one's really losing anything because it's all just internal accounting.
Well, how's that different than just opening the pools for deposit and letting me and Patriot add to the pool deposit, creating LP
well, you
units?
can, but I mean, you certainly can, but then that deposit is going to be subject to synth leverage.
Yeah, but that's on me. But I think what we're worried about or talking about is the existing LPs losing that synth leverage when new LPs come in.
I don't think it would be impacted.
I think it does. I think that's why the deposits are frozen, because
all right, I'll dig up my old spreadsheets and I'll rerun the math, but I don't.
So let's say on a pool right now, the room price have to get to $5. All else, being fixed, all else being equal. We're gonna have to get the $5 for the LPs to get to even. But if we had a whole bunch of new money deposited into the pool, say we doubled the pool size, then I think the room price have to go to $10 for
No,
those.
I don't. I disagree, because what the synths care about is the percentage of the pools as expressed in Bitcoin. So, like, if someone had 1 Bitcoin worth of synths, if and let's say the pool, this is getting complicated, but like the synths don't care about the percentage of the pool they own. They just care about attempting to maintain wholeness in Bitcoin terms. And so adding DLPs doesn't change what makes a synth unit whole or not. And so it would not dilute the synth leverage for other holders, I don't think.
Well, then there's absolutely no reason for deposits to be frozen on the pools. Like that was the whole reason for freezing deposits, was that it, as the new deposits come in, it reduces
Oh,
the
no,
synth
you're
leverage
right. Yeah,
of
I need to go
existing.
back and look at you might be right there, actually. I need to go back and look at my spreadsheets.
Well, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I hate synths and the math and everything that happens. I don't, I try to put
Yeah,
that in
no,
my
I
mind. But
think
Me
you
yeah.
might
too.
be right. Yeah,
Um,
sorry.
I mean, I hope you're right, Boone. If you're right, it's like, guys, this, we made the wrong choice. Like, open the pools for deposits. Let's
No,
get going.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. So, like, and that's why, um, in my mind, that's like maybe the best. Again, in the future, guys, nothing's happening right now. We're just theorizing. We don't want to lock in any losses. I think we have a good chance of the room price going up, and all this whole conversation is moot. I think we're all just theorizing, like, several months from now type thing. If we have to, start talking seriously. I think that is the best compromise we can come up with, is just open the pools for deposit and just let the pools naturally, slowly deleverage. And or at least start putting a timeline, I guess, on those losses being crystallized. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree.
yeah, but in my mind, I think at some point we do have to have this conversation seriously. I don't think we can have this fixed like this forever. I just don't. Now is not the time to have a conversation.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to figure it out, right? This isn't like to your point, Kenton. We're not this. I'm up here with Boone. I'm asking questions. I'm thinking about it as hard as I can, because it's very complicated. We are actually trying to figure out a solution right now. We're not trying to, do anything else. And that's why I was confused. And I'm trying to, like, how does that work? How does this work? So everything up here is solution based. So yeah, and the worst thing you can do, guys, to Kenton's point, is going on Discord, going online and posting this stuff. Like, we have 2 spaces a week. Come up and talk to us about it. Like, get your voice involved. That makes it so much better, right? Like, I feel like it's so inhuman to do text. I mean, it is what it is. If you want to communicate something simple, it's no big deal. But definitely don't go online and like come up like Boone does, and we talk about it, and we're correcting each other in real time. We're clarifying in real time. Because it's really complicated. Like Boone said, hey, I got to maybe pull out the old spreadsheet, give it another look over. Because I haven't thought about synth units in a while now, right? And it's so complicated. But we are trying to decouple the complication from THORChain and return to a simpler narrative, which will be so powerful once we get there. And I know we're going to get there eventually. It's just this intermediate stage. But I believe we're healing every day. So, Kenton, we went a little longer, a lot longer. I think we did a pretty good talking to the community. Maybe this is a good time to wrap. What do you think?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, and thanks, Aaluxx, for coming up. Having surgery, I had no idea. I actually feel a little bad, but we'll do it again. We'll get him back up here, guys. So next week, look out for Buyer Labs, right? A wallet that has Maya and THORChain. Gonna love to talk about them. And whenever we have a wallet up here, I'm gonna try and get them to maybe think about Ruggira and adding the primitives, right? It's all about getting them involved, getting them invested, and improving our relationship. So we're always going to be doing that. And then the following week, we shall see. I mean, we'll figure it out, guys. And thank you to all the speakers who came up today. We will, as far as we were always going to do these spaces, whether the topic ends, always try and give time for the community to have a frank and open conversation. That's where the strength is in this community. There is no censorship. We talk about the hardest problems, the most difficult moments, open freely. We're not ashamed of them. We own them. We take care of our own dirty laundry, right? And we move forward and we learn. That's how it is. That's how it's always going to be. We're the people who we push the envelope. We make the mistakes. We learn from them. That's what leaders do. We're leaders. And Kenton, you're the man. Thank you for always doing with us, me, TC intern. Thank you so much. Anything else, Kenton, before we wrap?
No, that's great. Thanks, man. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. I hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend. Always a blast. Take care, everyone. Bye, everybody.